Vision cards. Sometimes the biggest long-term investment you can make in War of the Visions, and sometimes there's something that sits in your box and you never actually end up using. So it's important to decide whether or not you want to go for the limited ones, because they can be really good, especially when they have an Esper on them, because we basically had all good limited Espers. However, these Final Fantasy XIII Vision cards do not come with Espers, so that's one thing you don't have to worry about. We get one of them for free as well. The Alexander one is free. It's really solid for what it is, and if you wanted to build it up for a light account, you could just go for that. But then we have Shiva, and then we have Odin. And those you have to pay for. You got to spend some Visior to get them. You have to spend some Visior to max them. So you really do need to make a big decision on whether or not you want to get them. So let's talk about them. We'll go through the information that we have. They got some global upgrades, which is of course what we were expecting. So let's see if they're worth it. Let's talk about Odin first. This is the lightning only VC. The bestowed has 10% attack and 15 accuracy, and that's something that lightning wants. If you see my lightning, should you pull a video, she does need the accuracy. It's not, you know, a deal breaker, but it's good. It's good. It's good for a lot of units, to be honest. So the party effect is 20 AoE resistance, which we already have from Ibarra's card, and it has 18 lightning attack up and 20 critical evasion as well. So this is a really solid party effect stat line. It's definitely a decent card. The critical evasion is valuable, and I think that it's already a good card, but then there's global upgrades. The upgrades are for Lightning 13 specifically, and they are critical damage up and critical rate up. And again, in my Lightning 13 review, I mentioned that she needs more crit damage and critical hit up to catch up to Cloud, and this is going to help in a big way. So this is a very good global buff. Now, if you're pulling for Lightning, I think it's kind of a no-brainer that you want to pull for this. And if you're thinking that you're going to want to build a physical party for a lot of lightning units, then this is still a really good VC to pull, because you have that area attack resistance up, but you don't have to run, like for example, if you want to run the Ibarra card, if you want to run the holiday party card, those are magic cards. Maybe that's a limited card too. If you want to look at the Death Machine card, that's also limited. It's for physical units though. So having this physical option is kind of a big deal. This is a very important effect to put on your parties to have more survivability. So I do really like this. So I basically, my recommendation is that if you're a lightning player, you're probably pulling for this unless you know that you're always using these lightning magic units and you're going to use Ibarra's card. Then maybe there's a way you can spin it. I think that because it's limited, because it's a really solid card all around, and because most of you are going to be pulling for lightning, that it's a really solid card to pick up, and I would recommend it. Okay, so the next card is Shiva, and this is bestowed 10 single target resistance, 5% HP, 25% defense penetration on the party effect, 18 ice attack, 20 wind resistance. Now, ice units didn't really need the wind resistance, did they? But they do need the 25% defense penetration. It's a really good party effect. And it's also a great bestowed effect, because single target resistance is a big deal. It really helps your survivability. This is a great pickup for a lot of ice players. Now, of course, it got a global buff, and the global buff is for snow only. It's healing power up and then area attack resistance up. This is very nice to see as well. It's more healing for him and also more survivability. Again, if you're going for snow, this card is pretty much a no-brainer. I think it's going to be really solid for him. It doesn't actually like scream tank card on its own, but when you put the limited bestowed on it, it definitely becomes a tankier card for him. It already was a good tank card because of the bestowed effect, and then the party ability just helps the rest of your units. It really means that a lot of ice units are going to be attacking in the high 80, 90, 100% defense penetration once you mix in your trust stones and your gear and whatever unit it is that already has some defense penetration. It means that we're going to see some really cool ice teams that are able to take on some physical tanks, and the way to counter that is going to be with some likely with type resistances, so like slash resistance and stuff, but then also your own combination of single target and AoE resistance. Ice is going to be an impressive element for a while to come. This also helps Snow quite a bit, because he's a tank with lower attack, but that kind of gets offset because he is a strike unit. So while Joom and Mont are slash attack tanks with lower attack values, they're also attacking against slash resistance, whereas Snow is going to be attacking against a weakness in a lot of cases. It doesn't mean that Snow is going to be bursting with a ton of damage, but he is going to be dealing more damage. He's going to be contributing more than other tanks do, so this is a really helpful part of that for him. And also as a tank, really helps him solidify his wind, anti-wind combination. So like, for example, if he's weak to magic, right, and you go against these wind magic teams or these spirit scaling, attacking teams, then this 20% wind resistance suddenly does become relevant. Like, I know it's not for a lot of units, but for him, it actually could be pretty important for that matchup, because even if he is strong against wind, he can still take a lot of damage from magic attacks. Now, on a final note, it's not really about the effects of the VC, but if you look at the art for the VC, like, it's really weird. I mean, I've played the game, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but he's like sitting on two chicks here, right? Like, one of them staring right up at him as he rides. Like, I guess like the handlebars are her ears, and then the other one's just staring at his back. Like, it's just a weird design. I'm a little bit off put by it. And finally, we'll just quickly recap what Alexander does. We do get Alexander for free, so that's pretty nice. The bestowed 10 magic attack, 5 AoE resistance. That's solid. Party effect, 25% accuracy, 25% magic up, max damage limit up. Very solid card. The fact that it's a 25% accuracy card, light players will be interested. However, I mean, the big light team are typically evasion teams, or maybe like a Jaden team. This isn't as necessary. Well, you know what? Jaden does like this. Jaden does like this card. It is a good card, but what is interesting again are the global upgrades. So for Hope only, he gets magic up, and he gets the effect duration of buffs and debuffs increased by 1 turn. We're assuming 1 turn. It would be crazy for it to be more than 1 turn. So Hope doesn't actually need more magic. He's got a high magic stat, and he doesn't attack that much. He does attack, but that's not a big deal. The buffs that he applies are really strong, and the debuffs that he can apply are also solid. This card means that he can apply haste to your allies, and they're going to stay hasted longer than your opponents. So if you're in a haste versus haste matchup, then you're suddenly going to get a turn that comes where you might lap your opponent and win the match. And the same thing with his defensive buffs that he has, his light attack up buff for your damage. All of these things will last longer. This might actually make him like solid. Like, he already was a good unit, but he wasn't a spectacular unit, and I'm not going to recommend that a lot of people build him. He's just hard to fit into a lot of light teams, but he's not a bad unit. He's no healing. He's all about buffing and doing a little bit of attacking. So this is one of the best buffs they possibly could have given him, aside from, like putting a heal on one of his buffs or something. So this is really, really interesting. It actually makes me really interested to try Hope. Unfortunately, I'm not going to build them, or at least I'm not going to like fast build them. I might slow build them. So I'm not going to build this VC. I got to say that my Visior. But if you are hoping to build him, see what I did there? Yeah, then this is a really big buff. It's a big deal, and I'm very intrigued. So just to recap, I think that both Odin and Shiva are good pulls for those elements. If you think in any time in the future that your account is going to start trending towards one of those elements and you're not already strong in that element, then you still should pull for the card. For example, the ice card, like are there even any cards that give defense penetration? I think that's our first one, so it kind of is a big deal. And the same thing with the lightning one. The Odin card, I can kind of understand if you're not that big into lightning and you already have a AoE resist card because you played during the Final Fantasy 1 collab. Like, I can understand you skipping it then, but still, like, if you're going to go hard into an element, these are the types of cards that really boost up your parties. So I would recommend getting both of them. The Alexander one is specifically if you're planning on using Hope and you really want to try to make him work as a buffer. And the other situation is if you want to build it up because you know that you're not using an evasion team necessarily and you want to build an accuracy team to fight against evasion, then maybe you'll take this card instead. Like, Jaden could use the accuracy for a lot of his other attacks besides his 100% hit. So it's, again, it's not a bad card, but like you're really drawing the line where your Visior goes and where it stays. And I personally, I'm pretty stingy with my Visior, so that's why I would recommend not to build Alexander unless you're specifically looking to do one of those two things that I just said. All right, so that's going to be it. Let me know what you think about these vision cards, if you're going to be pulling / building any of the three, and which ones, why, and what do you think about my analysis? Was it wrong? Was it right? Was it amazing? You can tell me that. You know, you can just casually leave a comment. Mysidia, you're amazing. I love your videos. I mean, that wouldn't be a big deal. You could just do that. Wouldn't cost you anything. Just a little bit of time. A little bit of time. And, you know, while you're at it, you get the like button. The like button helps. Why are you not doing it? What's wrong? Come on. Do this. Do this one thing for me. One time. That's all I'm asking. And all the other videos I do too, right? I mean, so I guess more than one time. But still. Okay, stop being a stingy like master here. Just hit the like button. Okay, this video is quickly getting away from me, so I'm going to end it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all in game.